we're living through a restructuring somewhat of the global economy.
Right.
And because of that, because America wants to refocus itself on itself, that there's going to be a downtime, and we're living in the beginning part of the downtime, right?
Okay.
So globalization is going to restructure, and because you're still dealing with an American empire, what I think is happening is that we still need to have a face of equality and upward mobility, even though the numbers don't actually show that bottom and middle classes exactly of people are upwardly mobile the same way they were maybe in the 70s, in the 80s. So if we've decided that Black women are the bottom of the bottom because we've been informed by intersectionality, then you have to make them in particular the face of upward mobility. And because we've been doing that for a few decades, Black women's actual reality and what they think and feel about moving upwards is in contrast. It's there's a conflict. And that's why you see so many of them being delusional about this Black woman in luxury thing, because they've been fed this through entertainment, through white second wave feminism onward, through all of these things. And so they just want the nice things. Also, the commodification of all of us in the way we think, right? So let me read the definition of commodification real quick. Within a capitalist economic system, commodification is the transformation of things such as goods, services, ideas, nature, personal information, people, or animals into objects of trade or commodities. So that's what's happened in our society. We've put a price tag on everything and everyone and every idea and all of it, and feelings and all of it. Black women are not immune to that. That's for all of us in America, in larger Western society. And I think what one of the conflicts that we're having is, once again, is Black women comparing Black men to upper middle class and above white men, and then deeming Black men lacking. And then that's where they shatter, because if, I say this all the time, if the non-Black man is too racist, Black men are not providing you necessarily with the lifestyle you want, and not enough women want to engage in same-sex relationships, then this kind of puts you in a weird situation. Who's going to provide you with that Black woman in luxury lifestyle? How do you come about it? Right?
Right. And, I saw, it's interesting because, kind of what got me interested in this topic was I saw some commercial where it was basically, it was like, oh, Black woman in luxury, we made it, or something like that. And it was literally, looked like just a cute, skinny Black model, which most Black women don't even fit that aesthetic, let's be real. But she was a really petite Black woman. Actually, two of them. It was two petite Black women, looked like they were size 2 to 4. And they were just at a nice hotel. They were literally at a nice hotel. And I'm like, and they were just like, oh my gosh, the face of luxury. And I'm just like, we're literally getting excited over going to a hotel? Like, first of all, this really shows me who's buying into this. Because people who have been to nice hotel, like that's not luxury. Luxury is, that's your lifestyle. Like, you're living in gated communities. You're sitting on ends. Or your house is luxurious. You know what I mean? Like,
it's dumb, Shay. Look, as of 2019 was the last time these numbers came out. Half of American women, so I'm talking about the median and not the average. The median income for American women, not just Black women, was $25,500 and some change a year, right? That's the median income, right? Which means for Black women, it's even less, right? That's number one.
Of course.
So if you add inflation and maybe we got a couple of raises, so let's say now it's like 27,000 and some change, 28,000. It's still less than 30 median for women in America, generally speaking. And in that environment, you got a number of Black women on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube talking about Black women in luxury, when we know that Black women in general are less economically upwardly mobile than other women who, once again, median income is less inflation, $28,000 a year. That's why you're seeing so many of them like cracking and breaking in public and making these videos about not being loved and not this and not that, because what's happening is many of them are thinking this to themselves: if I can't have the Benz S-Class lifestyle, then I'd rather walk because I don't want the Camry, and I don't care how reliable it is, right? And like the video that you showed with the sister on whatever was Instagram or TikTok, $10,000 in a month. Yo, like that's 120 a year, right? Who, if half of American women are making less than 30 grand a year and half of American men are making about $42,000 a year or less, even with both incomes, you barely hitting what 75, well 60 and some change, not even 70 grand. You're not even hitting 70 grand. So who's living this $120,000 plus lifestyle? Who?
Right. And if you look at that, the first video I showed, it was like Black Girl in Luxury. That's actually how I saw it. Like the title was like 21 Black Girl in Luxury. And then I see, this young girl with all these bundles and everything, and she's just living the high life. And I'm like, this is not realistic. And now you talk about I think the real reality is that, this is a whole nother conversation, but you have a lot of these women who it's like they have the fantasy of wanting to be celebrities, or they have the fantasy of, what is it, the Miss Anne syndrome, where they want to be they want to be the partner of the upper middle class white guy living in the suburbs, and they want to be his wife, and they want to be the white woman who is at home, you know what I mean, able to take care of her kids, and they're able to go on vacations a couple of times out of the month. They're able to send in the call, like they want to be that. And I'm like, if you know anything about your history in America, that's not your experience, honey.
Nope.
We're not, like, nobody, Black folks in America, they're not sitting on trust funds like that. Not to say you can't, still have work hard and get certain things, but it's like, it's not, have to get out of the idea. Huh?
Shay, many of us are the children of the Reagan era. Mm-hmm. So, we're the children of greed is good, right? We're the children of deregulation of the markets. We're the children of that. So our reality and what we've been told over the past 40 some odd years is two different things, right? Once again, 60% of Americans cannot afford $1,000 emergency, and that was before even COVID-19. So we know that, right? But your average American, and definitely your average woman, and definitely even more your average Black woman, they think they're like excluded out of some club. Like, that's why I don't like to give white people too many passes, right? But every once in a while, I do try to remind Black women that white people got classes too, right? And so what you're comparing your life to is upper middle class and above, right? You completely ignore poor and middle class white people who's living like Roseanne. You think they live in like the Real Housewives of Orange County. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No lie. I was talking to a woman earlier today, white woman, 4 kids. Her husband works full time at a Fortune 500 company, and they're living at home with their parents. And they're like, we have to relocate from the Bay Area. It's too expensive here. And it's like, and this is for all intents and purposes. It's not like she didn't marry like a poor guy. He grew up in a nice area, was able to go to college. And even with all of that, I'm talking to her and she's like, we can't not get ahead. We just simply cannot get ahead. So it's like, I'm like, who are we? What are we even talking about?
It's a disconnection from reality. And it's being promoted. I know, I know you probably saw some of those videos too that said like, F reality, live in delusion. Because we've spoken about this, like the reality of the situation is so difficult for many people. They want escapism. And so they're not being honest with themselves. Like, engaging in that escapism is actually manipulating the way you view the world. It's not just a form of entertainment. You actually internalize that, and now you actually low-key demand that out of your life. And quite frankly, the situation many millennials and Gen Z find themselves in, most of us aren't going to be able to live that life. So even if your parents were solidly middle, maybe just inching closer to upper middle, you may not even live that life, even though you did everything you were told you were supposed to do. You went to college, you graduated, you didn't have children early, you did all there's windows, right? All the stuff that we're talking about is America expanding. You're talking about post World War II, when all the other competition was bombed to hell. So America was the manufacturing hub of the world, right? So your parents and your grandparents got to come about. Yes, they lived through the civil rights generation, of course. I won't discount that. But they got to come about during a time when America was the biggest game in town, and quite frankly, almost the only game in town. Other nations have caught up. And what that means is the competition for wealth is different now, and you're competing against these people, and they're chipping off that wealth and those opportunities. And I don't know, I think black people, black women in particular, when they talk about this black women in luxury stuff, I think they miss that, and they miss the fact that bar is getting pushed higher and higher, right? $100,000, it is good money, but it ain't what you think it is. Trust me, when you get it, you're gonna be like, well, I guess now I need $250,000, right?
No, literally. And like I said, with that, you're still gonna have to be very strategic, and you're still gonna have to be very prudent with how you manage it. And that's what I was saying earlier too, where it's like, I think a part of this black woman in luxury is this idea that women have that they shouldn't even have to think about finances. They shouldn't have any understanding. The man should just handle it, and all they get is the credit card. And I'm like, that in of itself is very infantile, because even if you think of even women in the past who they were in a different time or a different era where, you know, women staying at home and men being able to, you know, buy a home and send their kids to school in one income. Even in that era, it's like they still had to budget. They weren't just like going out shopping all the time. They still had to live within their means. Like they still had to have a basic understanding of finances. So this whole idea of like, not only am I going to get whatever I want, I'm not going to have to just waste one brain cell on finances. He's just going to provide it for me. I'm just like,
foolishness.
That's very childish. I'm not saying you have to know or own it or run it, because I think I was saying before, if you're married to like a man, it's like you want to be under his submission and you want to let him lead, but you should at least have a general understanding and be respectful and honoring of his plan. You know,
Shay, this is the thing. And that the reason why I bring numbers into this when we have these conversations, just to ground people into what this country and this society and this system really is, right? Half of America, the median household income is about $67,000, $68,000 a year. So less than 70. You're asking most people that are coming, so most people are coming from a less than $70,000 a year household. And you're asking those boys and those men, who for the most part are primarily black, because you're a black woman, to provide you a 6-figure plus lifestyle. And then you're deeming the men that cannot provide you that lifestyle, you're calling them dusty, primarily black boys and black men. Right. And that, to me, that's just a recipe for loneliness and misery, because there's only so many NBA players, NFL players, actors, aspiring rappers and entertainers to go around. There's so many local D-boys and scammers to go around, right? So unless you want to be the local scammer third baby mama, I mean, like, how is this supposed to work? Because if you're doing all of that just for a couple of nice bags, I mean, I guess while you're still young and everything is still tight and whatever, but how does that work in the long run after you're 35, 40 years old? It
doesn't work. It really doesn't. And I mean, I know, like I said, this, of course, we could all point to an exception. We can all point to an exception to that one woman who, I don't know, started an OnlyFans page at 36 and 37 and is killing it, bringing in $1 million. Like, we can point to that woman or that other woman who, you know, black successful female lawyer who owns her own home. Like, we can all do that. But again, if we look at the vast majority and we look at the message that is being promoted to the vast majority, that's where it's like, y'all, we got to be realistic. And the reason why I think it's so important to be realistic is I'm like, at least if you know what's going on or what to expect, you can plan accordingly and then you can make the best of it. But like, if you're just in this delusion land, then you're completely and totally unprepared for what's to come.
They are. I mean, so like you said, if what we're dealing with is a group of people now, they don't know and they don't want to know. Like you said, they're deferring all of the responsibility of understanding the environment, of knowing what's coming down the pike. Even if you want to live this black woman in luxury thing, at least understand the world you're living in, the potential limitations, what's going on with the men that you're seeking to provide you this lifestyle. Or even if you're trying to, provide it yourself, to yourself, understanding the environment, right? What you're dealing with is women that they don't want to know. And they're mad when the consequences of their ignorance comes to bear, right? That is a recipe for like people shattering. That is a recipe for antidepressant pills. That is a recipe for, being Baker acted. That's a recipe for all of that. Because you went out in this world, you didn't care what was going on in the world, and you got sidelined by what's happening in this world with all of your delusion. And you can't escape it. You cannot escape the fact that the median household income is less than 70. You cannot escape that America is restructuring. And what that means is a few of us are gonna, not even a few of us, a lot of us are about to feel this pain a little bit. You can't escape what privatization and all of this commodification of everything means. As a matter of fact, you so can't escape it. Half the reason why you're even viewing men the way you are is because of that, right? Because the concept of men being providers, protectors has been there for eons, right? That's not even the problem. But when you exaggerate that concept with putting a market-based price tag on everything, including intimacy and relationships, what that means is that now women put the bar from being stable to being luxurious. So the stable guy is now a dusty, right? So that means that all of you are fighting for the top 20% and above. That's cool, nothing wrong with that. But what about the 80% of you that he doesn't marry? Now what?